Discovery Center in Rockford reveals a new exhibit hoping to bring fun and learning about health.
The Discovery Center officially opens the Body Shop, where visitors can learn about their body and physical fitness. There were several activities, learning about the five senses, including a rock climbing wall and a Plinko-style game to learn about taste. Event officials say the goal of the exhibit is for kids to be active and conscious of their health when they are young, so they will carry it throughout their adulthood.
Kids to feel good about their bodies. We want everyone to understand how their body works and to focus on the fun and the joy in being an active individual. So really we wanted to create some experiences for kids where they could play games and use their body in a non-competitive way.